classic red flags of a toxic or narcissistic relationship. Be on the lookout for these. Lifers and loved ones, welcome and thank you so much for watching. Today's video is going to be based on my experience, classic red flags of a toxic or narcissistic relationship. So we'll get into that in just a few moments. I want to take this time to thank you all for the support and the growth of the channel. You're tapping that like and commenting. It means so much to me, and it's such a great help to the channel. It is much appreciated. Let's continue that. You give me energy and I'll give you that same energy back. I thank you so much for the support. It does not go unnoticed and I don't take it for granted. I'm truly grateful. I would like to preface my comments as always by saying these videos are not meant to trigger or harm anyone. They're not meant to hurt anyone. They're designed to inspire, motivate growth, and for us to share information. I am not a psychoanalyst. I'm not a clinical professional. I am not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm none of those. I'm someone who's sharing based on my own personal experience in a toxic or narcissistic relationship, and I'll continue to do that. All right. Red flags. So I had to go ahead and jot these down. I'll try not to hold you all too long, but let's get into it. I would like to take this time to say that I am aware that no two people are exactly alike. No narcissist or toxic person are exactly alike. This is not meant to be a public service announcement and a blanket statement against any toxic or narcissistic person. This is just me sharing of my experience, observations that I've made, research I've done, conversations that I've had with other people that have experienced it. All right. Not every one of these is going to apply to your situation. These are just some that I personally experienced or have insight into. All right. No long-lasting friendships. Okay, so this one is something that I definitely experienced and something that I took notice to. I didn't necessarily realize it in the moment and at the time, but looking back on it, our ability, especially as adults, to maintain healthy friendships and relationships is important. It is important to be socially healthy. And when you're dealing with a toxic or narcissistic person, you may come to notice that they don't really have any friends. They may have acquaintances, they may have associates, you know what I mean? But they don't really have like a long-lasting friendship or a best friend that they've known for years and years. And based on my experience now, I would venture to say that that's because they burn bridges. They don't maintain relationships very well because they're always pretending. They're always posing. You know, they're always presenting that mask and that facade for people. And they're maintaining all these different, you know, relationships when it comes to narcissistic, like supply. And that's what their focus is. So as far as just a platonic friendship, they tend not to have very many of those, if any at all, in my personal experience. If you experience something different in that regard, definitely feel free to share it, comment that down below and let me know that. But in my experience, like I said, they tend not to have long-lasting friendships. There's no big outings or surprise parties, and a lot of times if you pay attention, when they are going out, a lot of times they're spending time with another source of supply. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Have a watchful or mindful eye for that. But for those who are currently in a situation where they're in that fact-finding stage and they're not sure exactly where they are, or even sure 100% yet that they're dealing with a narcissist or a toxic person, these are some red flags that you can be on the lookout for. All right, moving right along. They don't sleep. Okay, in my experience in a toxic or narcissistic relationship, like, the sleep pattern was out of control. There would also be times where they couldn't even sleep at all without me. Very erratic sleep patterns. I'm talking like 2-hour intervals, randomly up in the middle of the night, perusing all around. Like it was out of the ordinary, and it made it hard to be comfortable and be still in the night, because it's like, what is going on? Again, there could be a few different reasons for this. They're maintaining multiple supply at once, so they're drained of their energy mentally. They're in different stages and phases with these people all at once. That can be rough, right? Different time zones, you got to entertain people. You got to keep appearances up. Pretending and posing all day is draining on the energy. Like, it's very tough to do, I would imagine. Just their inability to find their own inner peace, that could definitely impact your ability to rest and sleep at night too. So those are just some observations that I made as far as the erratic sleep patterns. But ask yourself, was the toxic person or narcissist that you were with able to sleep all through the night every night? Obviously, sometimes life gets to us and it can be rough, or we may not be feeling well, or that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about consistently They just didn't rest well. Another red flag. They will pilfer your belongings, or like you may notice that your things are coming up missing. It's usually like trinkets or little things. And again, this isn't one of those situations, fellas, where, you know, those ladies might want to take a hoodie or take a sweater of yours that you don't see again, or a t-shirt no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about over the course of time, like you're noticing pieces of jewelry missing. You're noticing like mementos and things that may have sentimental value to you, photos that come up missing, right? Pay attention to that. I always made a joke about it. It's like how serial killers like to keep mementos. It's kind of like that. It's like you'll notice over time things of yours are coming up missing, and you're kind of sitting there thinking to yourself, like, where is my, like, I know I left it here. This is where they like to pilfer belongings and keep mementos for themselves. So this red flag is more on the side of like something that's obvious and that we're aware of. They lack empathy and compassion. Empathy is your ability to kind of feel where other people are coming from. It's your ability to really put yourself in someone else's shoes. And it has an impact on how we interact with each other, because it's like I am highly empathetic in my energy. So it's like I'm never going to want to do something to deliberately hurt you, put you in a bad situation, because I know what that feels like, or I've experienced it for myself. You know, compassion, again, just understanding where people are coming from, having concern or care for someone else and what they're going through. Narcissists and toxic people historically and typically are at extremely low levels when it comes to empathy and compassion. They're really more concerned with self, like they're very self-driven individuals. They're very insecure and just self-serving individuals. They're not putting you first at all. And if it does ever seem like it's a situation where they're prioritizing you or they're catering to you, you're either in the love bomb phase of the situation, or they want something from you specifically. And if you are ever in a space where you feel like you're getting any type of positive reinforcement, either you're in the love bomb phase with them, or within the trauma bond that you're in, you're just in a place where they're giving you a little bit of positive reinforcement. But again, that's manipulation. It's a form of abuse. So be on the lookout for that. People who are just toxic and highly, they just lack empathy for others. Like they have no compassion, no care or concern for what others are going through, but they're good at pretending. So pay attention. Okay, so this red flag for me was big. It took me some time, but I definitely picked up on it. They're performers. They'll do things in public and in public settings that they will not do in private at all. For example, they'll go out of their way to be affectionate in front of other people with you. They'll go out of their way to kind of hold your hand, or they may kind of gently kind of give you touches here and there. They'll go out of their way to come check on you. If you're at a function or a party of some sort, they may ask you if you would like them to make them a drink, or they may ask if you want something to eat. They don't really do that at home though. When you're like, if you're in the comforts of your own home or in a space together, they're not checking on you. They're not coming to just sit with you and see what you're doing. They're not going out of their way to just hug you or touch you or kiss you or anything like that, based on my experience. And you let me know your red flags in the comment section down below. Let me know your experiences with this, if I'm spot on with any of it, if you experience any of these red flags. But for me personally, it was a lot of pretending going on. If we were ever around my family, we were ever out and about in public, we were ever, again, hand holding, and that kind of struck me. Like, after a while, I came to notice, like, bruh, like, where is this affection when we're at home, or where is this attention? They're going to be a lot more attentive to you when you're out in public than they are when you're at home alone. Pay attention to that and be on the lookout for it. Here is another red flag that I found to be noticeable and was an irritant to me immediately. They tend to keep their exes around, all right? But at the same time, they lack accountability. So this is kind of like a two-part red flag, all right? Usually when you're dealing with a toxic person or a narcissist, like, everything is somebody else's fault. They will very, very seldom ever apologize for anything, even if it's blatantly clear that it's their fault. Drop it down in the comment section and let me know. Like, speak your truth. Reflect on it. When's the last time that the toxic person or the narcissist that you know has ever went out of their way or taken the time to come apologize to you or accept responsibility for something that they did? Seldom. And that was my personal experience as well. All right. So while they lack accountability, even when they should, right? They keep their exes around. It's like they play victim about their past relationships. They're going to tell you a sob sad story. They're going to tell you, oh, this is the reason why we broke up, or this is why it didn't work out, or he was doing this or she was doing that, and I don't know what went wrong. And they're gonna play, the victim. They're gonna give you that sob sad story, but at the same time, they tend to keep their exes around, and they're always in contact with them. And it's like 1 second they're saying something positive about the ex, and then in the next breath they'll be saying something bad about him. They weaponize their past relationships as something that they can throw in your face and use against you to make you feel away when they're trying to trigger you and you're in that devaluation stage. Yeah. This is something that they'll do. So be on the lookout. Again, 2-part red flag. They lack accountability, but at the same time, they play victim about past relationships, but they keep their exes around, right? I don't know about you, but for me, I tend to be a person that likes to sever the ties. While I do understand there are certain instances where you can remain friends with someone who you're in a relationship with, it's not something that's typical for me, or not something that I tend to do. Whether it was, kind of a messy breakup or not, I kind of just like a clean break and like to continue to move forward. I don't need to have insight into what's going on in your personal life, and you don't need to have an up close and personal view on what's going on in my life. But it may not necessarily be any love lost, but that just tends to be how I do things. But again, every rule has an exception, so definitely no judgment. As always, it's not just about me, it's about you. And it's not just about you, it's about me. This isn't about division or comparison or competition or judgment. We're just sharing of our experience. But for me personally, I tend to like a clean break after relationships. And if, friendship is an option later, then so be it. But deliberately, and we know, because supply and resources are the goal, while they're playing victim about the past relationship, and while they're lacking accountability for any of it, they're keeping their exes around, and they're going to throw those exes in your face the first opportunity that they get. Red flag, be on the lookout. We've discussed this red flag before on my platform, all right? Narcissists and toxic people do not like holidays. They do not like to celebrate. Listen, I so enjoy Christmas, and it's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it, right? Toxic and narcissistic people don't want to get together and go to your family's house. Even if they're close to their family, like they very rarely want to get dressed, make a dish, and bring you over to their family's house to play games and to interact and listen to music and just be in each other's energy and be happy. Birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, it doesn't matter. They're not very big on holidays at all. And as we previously covered, classic red flag, they don't maintain relationships well, and they don't have any friends, as much as they may try to pretend that they do, based on their toxic and false inflated sense of self. Holidays and these seasons don't do anything for them because there's nobody around who really wants to be in their presence or in their energy. People have either been burned by them or had negative experiences with them, so they don't want them around. And even when the opportunity is there, you may want to invite them over to your family's house. If their energy is low, or they got other supply, or they got other things, they typically just don't want to do it. They just don't enjoy it. I'm big on holidays, and I like to go to functions and get together, even if it's other people's family. It doesn't even necessarily need to be my own family, but I do like to interact and eat good food and watch football on the holidays and have a great time and play games, and the kids is running around. It's a beautiful thing. But narcissists and toxic people do not enjoy those type of functions, especially, again, if their energy is low and they're not in a space where they feel like pretending. Pay attention to that. You may just be at your family's house by yourself for the holidays. Another classic red flag of a narcissist or a toxic person: random outbursts, tantrums, and narcissistic rage. Okay? Narcissistic rage. Listen, anything can set these people off. It could be big or small. And again, none of us are perfect. Everybody has their good days and bad days. That is not what we're talking about. I'm talking about how a little thing could just, send them over the edge. And it'll just be a rage. It's doors slamming, it's slurs going off, they're yelling at the top of their lungs. They're slamming things and breaking things, and just it's jarring, and it makes you uncomfortable, especially for me. I'm a woman of energy still, and peace and harmony and like are everything to me. So when you're dealing with a person and they're so like sporadic and erratic in their energy, and they're all over the place, and they're yelling, and they're slamming cabinet doors, and they're storming in and out of this, those aren't situations that I do well in. You know what I mean? Those aren't environments that I do well in. Just loud noises for no reason, yelling, hollering, screaming. You can't get a word in edgewise. Like, just be on the lookout for that. It's not necessarily to say that you're in any physical danger, but hey, who's to say? You know? So pay attention to that. The toxic like outburst where a simple conversation or communication would do, and just narcissistic rage. If you've experienced that narcissistic rage, drop a comment down in the comment section. Manufacturing arguments and random disappearance. I've experienced it for myself. Perhaps you have too. Maybe it was a holiday. Maybe you all had plans. Maybe you were supposed to do something together. You had an appointment. You had somewhere that you needed to be. They'll start an argument over nothing. Something that seems very, very small, to the point where it makes you uncomfortable, and it leaves you sitting to yourself thinking like, what is happening here and what is going on? They'll start arguments on purpose just to get a rise out of you, just to suck supply out of you, just to get that energy from you. It gives them a great sense of self, and it strokes their ego, and they feel empowered when they can trigger you on their actions, or when they can get you outside of your character, or get you to lash out. It's as toxic as that may sound to me or you. This is something that some narcissists and toxic people will do. Again, it's a weapon and a tool that they use to trigger you to siphon energy, or they'll deliberately start an argument so that they can disappear. Maybe they have plans with another supply. They thought that they would have an opportunity to get away. It didn't work out that way. Maybe they thought you were going to be at work, but you ended up having a day off. They thought you would be gone, but you came home on your lunch break. Different scenarios. But they will definitely go missing, sometimes for days at a time, and then they want to come right back as if nothing happened and you're just supposed to accept it. Or they'll deliberately start an argument so that hopefully you can give each other the silent treatment for a while, and they can go entertain other supply. It happens. Facts. This one's cute. Toxic and narcissistic people tend to be very guarded and protected with their phones. All right. You've experienced it, and you'll let me know that too down in the comment section. That classic face down on the nightstand when it's time to go to bed, or even that deliberately leave the phone charging in another room so that it's not lighting up the room at night, or that, you'll notice if you ask yourself about it and communicate, like, share that with me. Let me know that. Think to yourself, were you with somebody or in a connection with somebody whose phone was always on silent? Like, you never heard their phone ring out loud. Yeah, they do that. Narcissists and toxic people tend to keep their phone on silent, or like I said, they'll hide it. And the world we live in, like, we're on our phones, we're scrolling, we're researching, we're setting appointments, we're texting, we're communicating, we're online, we're paying bills, whatever the case may be. We like to have our phones nearby. It's just the reality of the world that we live in now. So when you come across someone who deliberately at nighttime, when we use our phones, like, to wake us up and remind us of things, like they leave their phone in another room on purpose and on silent, face down, you know what time it is. Don't second guess yourself. Red flag. So this red flag, we covered it. We touched on it a bit previously, but I wanted to get deeper into it. All right, narcissists and toxic people are extremely flaky. They will flake on you. They will stand you up for plans, and they do not show up for you when it matters the most. It can be an important business appointment, or it can be an award that you're going to receive, or a celebration on your behalf. It can be some type of party for you, or a dinner that you invited, or a work function where you wanted to bring, your mate or partner or significant other. You wanted to bring your boyfriend. You wanted to bring your girlfriend to the party. Listen, they'll plan it with you. They'll agree to come, and then they just won't show up. If it's like a situation where you were supposed to meet up, or they were supposed to be there, they're supposed to be getting ready, they'll just deliberately not show up. They just won't. And if you are able to even reach them, they're going to give you some lame excuse as to why they couldn't make it. But on the other hand, if ever there was a situation where you were asked to be somewhere, or they wanted you to show up for them, you do it. pay attention to this one, because sometimes they're deliberately not showing up for you just to get a reaction out of you, just to manipulate you, just to assert their dominance. Again, they may just be trying to start an argument or trigger you to create a little bit of a distance, create a bit of a divide. You know, this could be the initial stages of devaluation, or it could be initial stages of a reverse discard. You know, so pay attention. If you hadn't had an opportunity to do so, I'll go ahead and link it up above, the reverse discard video, so you'll get an insight into that, and you can watch that one at your leisure if you haven't already. But again, this could be either devaluation or them looking to push you and try to push you away so that they can try to implement a Hoover later. But again, they will deliberately flake on you just to manipulate you, just to trigger you, just to upset you. And where you would have showed up for them, they don't value you. And the things that are important to you just aren't as important to them. And they'll just not show. And it can be hurtful or even embarrassing if, you know, your other coworkers or friends and whatnot have their significant others with them, and for some reason yours just chose not to show, and you don't even have a good reason why. It's going to kill your vibe, and it's going to take away from the experience. You know, like I said, you may be getting an award and you find it important. Maybe you're about to graduate, maybe you're about to get your degree, and then you invite your mate to come with you and they don't show. It will hurt you, you know. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely a classic red flag. Flaky and do not show up when it's most important. And for the last red flag I want to discuss, they will take personal and intimate things about you that you've confided in them about or shared with them and throw them in your face. It's one of the most painful, hurtful, just disrespectful things that you may experience in your toxic or narcissistic relationship. If you've ever experienced a trauma in your past, you know, if you've ever, you know, lost someone that meant a lot to you, something's ever happened to you or in your life that really hurt you or shaped who you are as a person, they'll throw that in your face later. If it's something that they know hurt you, if it's something that they know could possibly get a reaction out of you, they can use it to tear you down. If they can just use it to belittle you and to demean you, they'll do it. It's just, I can't say enough about it, man. But again, feel free to share that and tell your truth. Feel free, you know, to share it down in the comment section if you like to speak your truth, if you want to be heard in this regard. But again, this is extremely hurtful. You know, when you're in relationships with people, you tend to want to share the things that you've been through, give them an insight into who you are. You want to be able to be your authentic self. You want to be able to be vulnerable with the person that you're in a relationship with. But once you're in that devaluation phase, or again, if they're looking to push you, push your buttons, manipulate you, trigger you, get a reaction out of you, they'll throw traumatic things from your past in your face. Sicknesses, death, loss. But difficult or traumatic things that you've gone through, if you happen to share those with a toxic or narcissistic person, they will throw those in your face. It's unfortunate. Loved ones, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop that down in the comment section. You know how we do. If you give me that love, you pour into me, I'll pour into you as well. All right, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask offline, maybe video recommendations, suggestions, questions for the Q&A video, send me an email to askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. That is askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. Also, check the description, all right? There's information there, video recommendations, but also I like to pay homage to other creators who have helped me on my healing journey and perhaps can help you too. So definitely feel free to check the description. Also, check the YouTube About page. Lots of information there in regards to the channel. All right, the links to my Cash App and my PayPal are there. If you ever want to make a small donation to the channel, it's always appreciated. The address to my P.O. Box, if you want to shoot anything over, I thank you so much. Feel free to do that. I'll also drop my Instagram on the screen. It's Worthy1212, all lowercase letters. That is Worthy1212, Worthy XII on Instagram. Tap in with me. I want to see your pictures. Come check out my reels and stuff like that. Let's interact over there on Instagram. And it's truly been a pleasure. It's truly been a pleasure. I thank you so much for spending time with me. And again, share it in the comment section. Let me know if any of these red flags resonate with you, or if there's some other red flags that I didn't mention in the video. We're about sharing information and uplifting one another. All right. Plus, it helps so much with the channel. It gives us visibility and it pushes that content out when we like and comment to other people who are looking for this content and looking for a community and places where they can get positive information from a healthy place. So don't hesitate to share yourself in the comment section. I want to thank you, man. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate you spending time with me. I want you to know that you are seen, you are heard, your feelings are valid, and you are worthy. All right. Until we meet again, it's love. I'm out.